towards us and probably past the front of us. And they're feeding in the fringes of the woodland. That's quite interesting. I think you'll find that 3 weeks ago they would have fed straight across the grassland in front of them. That is the Cheetah Plains camp, Chitwa camp you can see in the background there, just in case you're wondering. And now, because the grass has turned dry and yellow and not quite as nutritious as it was, they're moving slowly closer and into the woodland areas where they can start to browse, eat leaves and bite off bark and push down trees and eat some pods and that sort of thing. She didn't like that, did she, Seb? Yuck. I think you'll find that if there is some kind of time to look forward to for elephants, I would suspect that this time is not one of those. I imagine the transition from easy or relatively easily digestible grass that doesn't have any bitter tasting chemicals in it, the transition then onto trees which taste very bitter in comparison must be quite a difficult one to make after the summer. So maybe this is quite a difficult time for the elephants from a psychological point of view. There are two little ones having a nice fight now. Yeah, Chanel, I think it's possible. You say, would a tuskless elephant be at a nutritional disadvantage because it would be unable to strip bark and pull bark off trees as well? I think it's quite possible, Chanel. In fact, it's likely. But, you know, these elephants make a plan. And we have seen, of course, half-trunked bulls very successfully living till good old, ripe old ages. We've seen tuskless elephants live to ripe old ages. But yes, I suppose it probably is a lot more difficult for them to be able to pick up and grind out the bark that they want to. But they'll do other things, you know. They'll do other things like kick at trees, push them over, and in so doing break the bark and then grab that bark with their trunks. They will make a plan. It is amazing the plans that they do make. Just move a little bit further on around the corner. And while we do that, Pajamas Patterson has managed to find a stripy pajamaed animal, but it is not a zebra.
It's not a zebra, it is an antelope. It is a very pretty antelope. Although I quite enjoy the idea of them being in their pajamas with their beautiful white stripes. And Teresa, one of our viewers, once said to me that there's a local legend somewhere, I don't know, I can't remember where she said it was from, that the white markings on the Nyala and the kudu come from the fact that when they were created, their legs were so spindly that they couldn't actually support themselves. So the creator reached down and picked them up, and wherever his hands touched the Nyala, they left white marks, which I think is a really beautiful story. Standing by, James. James, I copy you. It was Andrew's update. I don't think he's there, but he heard the update. He was at 3 in a row pan. Sorry, I'm just letting James know about something very exciting on Cheetah Plains. He said he was going there, so something that these Nyala might not be terribly keen to encounter. Stunning. As for these lions, well, they've moved off somewhere. All of the antelope in the area are looking very relaxed indeed. You can see that these Nyala don't look concerned in the slightest. I think, unless Tristan manages to find them on foot, which is possible, I think that our best bet is going to be to keep circling this area until we reach sunset. And then hopefully, apparently it was Tinyo with the lioness, hopefully he will start to roar, and it will give us a better idea as to where they are. that's how we found the lion the other evening. So hopefully it'll work out the same way tonight. I haven't found any tracks of them crossing out. Just to show you, let me give you an idea, because often we talk about roads as though you're all inevitably going to know what we're talking about, and that's not really fair. So, here we go. Here's the map of Juma in its entirety. Just ignore the red dots. That's just sightings I've marked in the past. So there's Juma. That's where we are over here. This is the southern boundary of Juma. That's Weaver's Nest down there. And the lions walked up this road this morning. They went along here. They popped out here, and they've disappeared in this block over here. So when we talk about a block, we're talking about the space between roads, essentially. Now, there's a nice pan over there with plenty of water. Chele pan. It's chele, not chela, apparently. And they are somewhere in this area here. Now we just have to figure out exactly where. And it's quite a big area. I can't drive around there for, without having any kind of direction to go in. So we'll let the walking team try their luck, and if they don't have any luck, then we'll wait for them to roar. In the meantime, we'll just trundle along and see what else we can find. Speaking of the walk team and the various water sources, let's go over to Tristan, who's at one of them now.
I am indeed. We've come and checked all the water sources to see if maybe these lions have come and had a drink sometime during the day. It was quite a warm day, so I would have expected them to walk towards water somewhere, but we've got the most coolest track here that is not from the lions, unfortunately, but it is still interesting to see. Now, when we came up to the water, there was this kind of line that came along here, and you can see it's wet, dripping sort of drops of water, really, and anyone have a guess as to what this is? So we're going to use this as our tracking quiz for today. We can do hashtag Safari Live as to what has caused that water to drop out. Now, I at first thought maybe it was something that was drinking, so I was trying to just see if there was big tracks of an animal, and there are big tracks, but it's not from that. So the big track that there is here is the buffalo track over here. So you can see this is quite a fresh buffalo track, and we actually found tracks of the buffalo coming out of the block. So here's its edge, the toe going in there, and then round like this. And the buffalo track that we did find was running out, but that's not actually what made this sort of droplets of water coming out. Now, it's something quite interesting, which you'll get to just now. And the other thing that is quite cool that we can see over here is another very interesting little track. That is a track from a frog. Alright, so that's the back foot of a frog, long toe going forward and two shorter toes, where the frog would have sat like this and then been able to drink. So it's quite, go jump into the water. So there's some cool tracks that are all around. Oh, machine gun nest. This is an interesting question. You want to know how many water holes there are at Juma. Well, it depends what we sort of describe as a water hole. Things like this are not really water holes. These are just natural pan systems that are filled with water during the rain of the summer, but are not really something that's going to hold water all year round. So if we had to count these in, there are many, 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 many. But in terms of really big water sources for Juma itself, we have Buffelshoek Dam, we have Twin Dams, we have Juma Pan or Gowrie Dam, and we have Trias Dam. Those are the four kind of big ones. Sydney's Dam, I suppose we can see it from Juma, but it doesn't actually lie on Juma. It's inside Buffelshoek. But those are the big ones. Then dotted around are these smaller little pan systems, and this will hold water probably for another month or two, but by the end of the winter there really won't be too much left here, and you'll find that none of the animals will use this. And that's when things are going to start concentrating very heavily around Treehouse, Twin Dams, Gowrie Dam, and those areas. Now, I'm going to cross 2,500 miles all the way to Brent with okay, we're not going to go to Brent just yet because Brent apparently may have lost a bit of signal. But any answers to our quiz, Lou, while we're standing here waiting to see if Brent can get his signal back? Apparently not. Alright, so we're going to just have a look then. I'll give you all the answers because it seems that there haven't been any answers just yet. But if we have a look here, we've got a footprint in the sand here. Now, there is a very deep little ending to it, and if you have a look at the back here, there is a little circle at the back over here and over here. Now that should be a good indicator as to what this is. This is the area where that animal was actually lying. So it was a warthog that was busy wallowing, and these dew claws at the back are very prominent in warthog tracks. And as the warthog was wallowing and then ran away, it left this sort of mud trail going away from here, which is very cool. It's something you normally see with elephants. Now, like I was saying, we're going to go 2,500 miles all the way to Brent, who's got probably one of the most beautiful cats that we get in Africa.
So, thanks to Jeffrey, we are right in the spot. Jeffrey is one of the Ngama guides, and we've caught up again with this beautiful female cheetah who's eyeing a herd of Thompson's gazelles. There they are. Now, there's a bit too much open ground between where she is and where they are for her to make a successful hunt at the moment. So it looks like she hasn't had a successful day. Now, remember, this is 100% live, coming to you from the Mara Triangle in Kenya's Maasai National Reserve. And we're with a hungry female cheetah who's keeping a close eye on some Thompson's gazelles. Now, what she'll want is for them to move into slightly longer grass, which it looks like they're doing. So I want to keep a close eye on her, because she might move quite quickly into a position where she might be able to successfully stalk them. Remember, hashtag Safari Live if you've got any questions for us. Now let's see what she gets up to now. Looks like she's contemplating a move. The Tommies are not facing her at the moment, and they are jogging off into longer grass. Now, I'm not sure if they spotted her before we arrived. I don't think so. But when you're a Thompson's gazelle, being a nervous Nelly is a good thing. It keeps you alive. Okay, she's on the move. She's on the move. So as they've moved into that longer grass, look at that, isn't she absolutely gorgeous? Not quite sure of her name. So what I'm going to do, Dave, is, because otherwise we're going to lose her, I'm just going to reverse quickly. So we've got a full sweep, because she might go at any second. I got it. Let me just get on the right side of the termite mound. Okay. There we go, she's on the move. She's off. She's probably 55, 60 meters. She's on the move again. She's getting closer, and this long grass is playing into her advantage. There she goes, she's about to hit full speed. There she goes! She's coming right towards us. She's right on that male Thompson's gazelle's tail. Oh no, he's going to get away. Oh dearie me, my poor girl. That was so close. Wow. Unbelievable. Oh, flop down. Oh, shame, my girl. That was so close. Let me just get a little bit closer. Oh, dearie me. Oh, she's giving us heart failure this afternoon and this morning. So close. So close. Tommy's living on borrowed time at the moment. I'm just going to stop shortly. I just need to get through this big ditch. Hold on. And Jeffrey's just going to go in front of us. He's the man who called us to tell us that he had found her. We're both looking for her on different sides. Look at that. She's actually lucky. She's actually lucky she didn't catch that Thompson's gazelle, because there we go, one of the marauding members of the North clan of hyenas would have been right on her in a second. You see that, the marauding North clan member?
Yep.
Oh, she's lucky. she would have lost that kill in a second with the marauding hyenas here. Now, this whole area is actually a swamp during most of the year, and I can't remember the name of it. It's quite a long name, but I've been nicknaming it the Clan Lands because there are so many hyenas. There we go. It is called the Olpunyata Swamp, is where we are at the moment, but there's over 80 hyenas from the North Clan spread through here, so it's probably not the best place. So look at that. I mean, I often say as we... Oh, I got this upside down. There we go. Sorry, I'm in the way there. So often as we drive down here, you can sometimes see 15 or 20 hyena heads just pop up. H. Macy, how are you? H. Macy is wondering how many cheetah there are there in the Mara. And, well, I know for certain in the Mara Triangle there's at least 3 females and 3 males. There's probably quite a few more. Those are the only ones I know about so far. But there is always the chance there could be more. I am waiting for the exact information from the Cheetah Research Project. They unfortunately are away at the moment, so as soon as they're back I will be able to find out all that. But I know about this female, Mlima, a female I've seen, another female that I'm not sure of, she doesn't think she has a name, and then two male cheetah called the Olololo boys, which are further down south. But there are definitely more cheetah on the other side of the river, outside of the triangle. Now, it could be just the density of lions here and hyenas is quite thick, and that's why. And there we go. Davy, how was that for you? Heart racing. She came straight towards us. It was amazing. So, guys, how about that? One-word tweet. Hashtag Safari Live. Are you okay, Dave?
Yeah, I'm good.
What happened to you?
I've got something in my eye.
Dave, I thought he was crying with emotion. Dave has got something in his eye. I thought he was crying with emotion, but no, he's just crying with a bug in the eye and the tears of joy of the thrill of a cheetah chase. So hashtag Safari Live, one-word tweet. How did that cheetah chase make you feel? She came right towards us. Oh, and Final Control thinks Dave is actually crying and he's just trying to make excuses. David, do you want a tissue? Do we have any tissues?
don't think so.
We don't have. Want to get...
Don't worry.
Are you okay? Michael's wondering what percentage of cheetah hunts actually end in failure. Well, Michael, generally the cheetah are a little more successful than lion and leopard and hyena. The problem is they're not very successful at keeping their kills. As you saw, if she had caught that, a single hyena would have easily been able to chase her off. And if you hear some funny noises, it's Dave trying to get some water to wash out his eye. I would say probably on average, they're still not incredibly successful, but they are more successful. So I'd say failure probably 70% of the time or 65% of the time. But and again, you must remember that those sort of statistics are often area dependent rather than species dependent. So a cheetah in this area might be more successful than a cheetah on the other side of the river, or even in the Serengeti or the Sabi Sands. So it is all very dependent on the area rather than the individual animal. So it is fascinating to watch, and of course we're all learning together here in the Masai Mara. So if we had to go on the amount of cheetah hunts I've seen, I would say they are successful 25% of the time, because I've seen 4 chases and 1 kill. But of course, we haven't spent that much time with all the cheetah yet. So really only this female, who I can't wait to find out what her name is, and Mlima down south on the Tanzanian border, where unfortunately we don't have the ability to broadcast yet. Now, John is wondering if she possibly spotted the hyena and that's why she gave up on her chase. I think she's just spotted the hyena now. John, I can just see her body language change a little bit. She's staring straight at the hyena. There it is. As the hyena lifted its head, I think she spotted it. I would say if she did spot a hyena, she probably would pull out of the chase. It's a definite possibility that she would do that. So, Yeah, she's definitely spotted the hyena now. You can just see her body language has changed a bit. She's looking a little bit less comfortable than she was a few moments ago. You can see she wants to sneak away without drawing too much attention to herself. Look at that. So I don't think she saw the hyena during the chase. I think she's just seen the hyena now, and she's trying to slink away because, of course, any hyena near her while she's on the hunt. Look at her. See how she's trying to keep low below the grass. Hyena's up. Wants to check where she's going. Doesn't want to let a free meal pass him by, or her by. And the hyena's going to sit, is following. She might take off. I might need to move the vehicle. I'm just going to see what's happening now. I mean, that's what makes hyenas one of the most ultimate predators. They're definitely, in my opinion, the most intelligent of all the apex predators we get in Africa. And their problem-solving capabilities are incredible. Okay, I'm just going to move the car quickly. Davey, you stopped crying. Dave has stopped crying. If anyone was worried about Dave, he has stopped crying. Oh, it's okay. It's okay, Davey. Okay, so she's slinking off behind us. Okay, I might get into frame. I apologize, but I have to disappear down my turret. There she's running off to the right, Dave, you see her? So the hyena has lost sight of her, and as soon as she made sure she was far enough away, so the hyena's off in front of us, as soon as she made sure she was far enough away from the hyena, she made a dash for it. I'm just going to go see if we can keep up with her. Okay, let me just concentrate for a second. So, one more bump. Okay, so, bye guys. Safari Live, yes. Dave, I'm trying to pop my head out of the turret. Hi guys, bye guys. Nice surprise with James, it's also got spots.
Hello everybody, what a smorgasbord of beautiful cat action we're having. You're about to have the arrival of Inkanyeni, mother to Vutomi, consort of Quarantine, and just generally all-round nice girl. Isn't that beautiful? Of her looking through the grass here. And like I say, what a smorgasbord we've had. Cheetahs. 3 leopards now, just the 3. The most perfect golden light. Oh, wonderful stuff. Alright, let's get the other side of her again so we can catch the last bits of the light. Sorry, Seb, I couldn't get out of the way fast enough there. Marvellous, marvellous, marvellous stuff. Very kindly created a clearing for us to get through. Might be a new leopard for some of you. And she's not often seen, you know. She spends a lot of her time in the Kruger, which is not far from where we are here on Cheetah Plains. There she comes. You got her there, Seb? Ah, gorgeous. Yeah. The very first sort of leopard picture I took, and they're leaving her, we've got her to ourselves. The very first sort of relatively decent leopard picture I took was of this leopardess. And she was standing exactly like she's standing there. That's so cool. Isn't that nice? The last light of the sun just fading on her. And here she comes. very little is causing or having any consternation at her. There's not much alarm calling going on. How magnificent. She's coming straight towards us. Oh, wow. Now, Marissa, you're just 10 years old and wondering how many leopards we see here. Well, here we see this very special leopard called Inkanyeni. Hello, my dear. You look like you're in need of a bit of a meal. We see, you can count them, Marissa. I'll just name them for you. We see Inkanyeni, we see Tandi, we see Tandi Santamba, we see Shongile and Hosana, who are not related to this chap except distantly. We see Tingana, the big male. We see Shadow and her little cub. We sometimes see a chap called Djuma. We sometimes see Quarantine, who has been well, they've been mating. We sometimes see a chap called Shivambalana. So how many is that so far? You can count them and tell me, Maritza. Wasn't that special watching her come along the road like that? And walk not 2 feet from the edge of the door? Now you see, she will disappear into this grass in seconds. Oh, it's wonderful. Jeffrey, you know, I was thinking exactly the same thing, and I thought to myself, but she doesn't, because, you know, I don't remember the last time. Oh, what's she got? She might be stalking something, because I remember the last time I saw her thinking she was quite stocky, but I totally agree with you. She has a dainty face. You're absolutely right. All right, we're going to try and stay with her. Obviously, you've got to be very, very careful now, because the chances of giving her a fright when you can't see what she's doing are high. She's right in here. So I'm just going to be very, very careful. We might lose her, but we've had a wonderful sighting, and 3 leopards in one day are not to be sneezed at. She's yes, you can see again. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but you can see why these things are so hard to find. You got it?
Yeah.
Reverse. Oh, okay, got it. Well spotted. Look at her tattered ears, and I keep forgetting how old she is, but I think she's 13 as well. I don't think she's a youngster. Now, there was a steenbok that we unfortunately flushed not far from here before she came along the road. Maybe you can just hear the Cape Turtle dove in the background going, broop, 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 adding to the perfection of what is a quintessentially magnificent African scene. You still got her there, Seb?
No, I lost
Not really. There she is. I got her there. We'll just ease our way through here. These trees, Ormocarpum, Tripocarpum, are flicking up behind us, don't worry. You can see they're very powerful. Must be quite difficult, although you're beautifully hidden in grass like this. It's not easy for you to actually see any prey, I imagine. Oh, look. Shelley, you say, has Vutomi left her already? Vutomi is her youngster. I think he's... I don't see them often enough to remember their ages. I think he's about a year old. And you say, has he left already? No, he hasn't. He's quite often seen with her. And I think they were on a kill together. In fact, they had Vutomi this afternoon, as well as Inkanyeni. So, no, he hasn't left her, but he's going into that sort of semi-independent stage. No, she's looking very skinny. There's a wonderful Afrikaans word, and that Afrikaans word is skraal. And it just very nicely describes that sort of look. It's not quite, it's skinny, and it's also in need of a meal. And a little bit tattered are her ears. Otherwise she's looking pretty good. Now again, we need to be careful that we don't make a noise behind her and flush anything that might be in front of her, or give it some sort of indication that, you know, there's something worth looking at this way. So we will keep our distance, and if we lose her, well, that's all right. She's going through some slightly more open terrain through here. Watch the head there, Sebastian. Beautiful. The colour is just lovely, isn't it? Gold, copper, much more copper than most of the leopards we see. And she belongs to a very famous lineage. Well, famous from where I come from Londolozi. There was a leopard there called the Sunset Bend female, and she gave rise, and probably was given rise to by her parents, but she gave rise to this very golden lineage, and much more gold than, say, the lineage of Karula, which is very honey-coloured. Now just look below her eye there, above her nose, you can see 4 spots. Now Inkanyeni is a 4-3 female. She's got 4 spots there and 3 on the other side, but them ears is pretty much unmistakable. And we often asked, how do you identify the different leopards? Well, of course, many of our regular viewers will recognize them on sight. And certainly you get to that stage if you see them often enough. But if you don't, well, then you've got to look for their spots. And of course, this leopardess has got a 4-3 spot pattern, but she's also got those tatty ears. You're just listening perhaps for a scrub hare or a steenbok or a duiker to go wandering by unawares, and then she'll just gently sink down into the grass and make a meal of it. Ah, Waltheria, very nice. The flower that never stops giving. You're looking a little bit tired, my dear. Are you tired? So, in case she stays there, I'm just going to move around the corner. No, I'm not. I'm going to wait here. Go ahead, Ralph. I am Ralph. She's in some thick stuff north of Central Road. Now Tristan is feeling slightly religious this afternoon, and he would like to share that with you now.
I am. I'm not sure that is entirely true, James, but I know other James would like to know what Africa Day means to us, so we might as well start talking about that, because I was going to show you a stick insect that is now flown away. It seems like it is that afternoon where everything that we want to show you just disappears, from the lions to the stick insects and varying other things. Well, I suppose Africa Day to me, I haven't really given it much thought today, but just sort of off the cuff, I would say, you know, Africa is one of probably the most special places in the world. It's got many cultures, types of people, ethnicities. It's just the most incredible place to live, and there's so much vibrance and so much to experience throughout Africa and to celebrate that and to be a part of that is always a very special thing. And to call Africa home is probably one of the most amazing things. Now, Ferg, just be careful of the buffalo thorn, otherwise you're going to hate Africa this afternoon. But to me, it's just that there's just so much diversity, so many different kinds of people, so many characters, so many different cultures and religions and tribes and all of these things, and it all mixes into one, and it is some of the most incredible landscapes in the world. And to be able to, like I say, be a part of that and live that and feel all of that vibrancy is just one of the most incredible things. And I count myself very lucky to be part of Africa and to have grown up in Africa and live this every single day. What do you think, Ferg? Also?
Much agreed, eh?
Much agreed. So I think you speak to any person that comes from Africa and they'll all tell you that even though you can go outside of Africa and there's many things in Africa that are not ideal and things that we really, we complain about and we worry about, and there's poverty and there's all these kind of things, but any person that you take out of Africa and you go and talk to them, there'll always be some part of them that will miss being part of this continent and being back home. There's something that is so special about this, and often we get guests, well, when I was guiding, I had guests that would come here and they say that it almost gets into your blood, and once it's in your blood, you just crave it every single time you go home and you always want to come back again. And so for me, that sort of celebration of all of that, and then on top of that, the diversity in terms of wildlife that we have, and to be able to do the job that I do and to be able to be out here and share all of this with you guys is just the biggest gift that anybody could give us. And so we are so fortunate to have this on our doorstep and to be able to live every single day where we're busy walking through an area, tracking lions and trying to find them and getting frustrated by mantids and stick insects that are invading us is quite a special thing. So, it's to celebrate Africa is always a good thing, and I think just to have one day to celebrate it is really not enough. We need more than that, and I hope that everybody else out there that watches this and all of our staff and everything like that would also feel the same about it, because it is a magical place to live. Right, that being said, enough being soppy, it's still time to find lions. We're still looking. The last tracks we had were going southeast. We've checked everywhere. We've walked through monkey orange thickets, through buffalo thorn thickets. We've gone through everywhere. Ferg and I have been scraped about, but yet no luck. So we're hoping now it's this time that maybe, just maybe, one of them will call or something will alarm call and help us out. But while we do that, let's go across to Jamie Patterson, who's always so eloquent with words, and find out what Africa means to her.
Oh gosh, Tristan, the last few days See, even the hippos are laughing at me. I was going to say that the last few days I haven't been particularly elegant with words at all. It's just one of those things. At the end of a couple of long weeks, the brain starts to get a little bit fried. So what does Africa mean to me? Oh, it's so difficult to sum up. I agree with Tristan. Africa means home. Oh, let's not look at me for this, Craig. Let's look at the pretty view. I think it's much nicer. Much nicer than my face desperately trying to scrabble for words. Africa means home. Africa means freedom, space, unpredictability, chaos, beauty. Chaos and beauty side by side. And of course, I like all the animals as well. Lots of nice animals. No, it's hard to really sum up what Africa means to me. It's so vast, it's so huge. Certainly where I feel is home, certainly where I'm from. Disorganized, but beautifully so. Unsanitary, but again beautifully so. I use sanitary in the sort of the term of there's very little organization. There's no pattern. It's random. Well, I guess there are huge patterns, but it's random and chaotic. And sometimes it's hard, like the fact that there are only 6 goslings now instead of 8. So I guess there's brutality in Africa as well, in a way. Sadness. But sadness that's completely overshadowed by the happiness that it brings. Like the fact that in Africa, they'll stop traffic for a family of Egyptian geese crossing the road, which they did once years ago. When I was still in Johannesburg, I was driving through the city and I was listening to the radio, and a major highway, a major motorway was stopped because a family of Egyptian geese were walking across it. And everybody banded together to make sure that the traffic stopped. Everybody stopped their cars, taxi drivers, public transport, buses, and just general citizens. The Bambi effect. And Africa's about her people as well. It's not just about the animals. There are some truly amazing stories out there. I wonder what Africa means to these guys. Grass. Lots of grass. The occasional leopard to run away from. Okay, speaking of Africa, yes, survival, absolutely. Africa is survival. It's getting dark, the sun is setting, and there's a good chance that that's what they are going to be doing in the not too distant future. So that's what we're going to do. I was really hoping that the elephants would come down to drink. I saw them walking in this direction, but they haven't. So I'm going to go and find a lion instead. James is having an amazing afternoon. Let's go back to him and the gorgeous Inkanyeni.
James got seriously lucky today, as did Sebastian. So we'll take it, say thank you very much to the universe, and revel in it while we answer James's question. What does Africa mean to you? Well, I guess it's a dreadfully horrible cliche, but I guess Africa means home to me. It's where I was born, it's where I've grown up, and that means many different things. To say what does Africa mean to me, I could probably keep sort of yakking away for about an hour on it. But it's conflicted, you know. It's a harsh place in many respects. It is from a wilderness point of view, of course, I think it's probably unparalleled. It feels like we were born on the soil as a species, and it feels like we belong here in many ways. And so that's very strong when I come into these wilderness areas. That wonderful thing that I've shared with you before, that I heard from David White initially, and that he took from a North American elder, or North American Native American, sorry. He describes how there's that feeling in the wilderness where the wilderness will just as soon find you as it will kill you, just as soon feed you as it will kill you. It is not here to sort of care for us. And it's that feeling of, I don't know that words can sufficiently convey what that means to me, and how that completely describes how I feel about our wilderness areas, that they are in many respects harsh places, but they're unspeakably beautiful and feed us in innumerable ways at the same time. So that's what the wilderness areas mean to me. And then, of course, the countries of Africa are a legacy of enormous conflict. We cannot ignore the really appalling history that many of them have had, from colonialism and slavery to civil wars to genocide. But at the same time, the African people somehow just come out of it and survive and thrive and live and get on with life. And that speaks tremendously to the spirit of humanity in general, but of course of Africans themselves. And then, I mean, Seb, you're from Gabon, and what does it mean to you? Tell me if you can hear, Seb, otherwise I shall translate.
Africa means home, like you said. But it's, I don't know how to explain it. It's in your blood. It's you breathe it, you feel it, yeah, I can't imagine myself living anywhere else but Africa.
Well, that's it. Yeah, you can't imagine living anywhere else but here. And it's funny, I'm about to go off to Italy next week for a little while. My parents and I and my brother and sister and various others we're going off to, for a little soiree in Europe. And it's in a rural area. It's not wilderness. And I know what I'll feel there. I will feel a kind of exhalation of the tension that is inherent in being in Africa. And it will be a respite from it. But after a while I will miss it. And I will miss the just the sense of wildness that there is around here. And then, I mean, we could address it while Inkanyeni is asleep. Of course, I'm a white African, aren't I? And that brings with it all sorts of complications and difficulties and legacies. And what's she got? She thinks she's it's odd. Maybe she's just got a fly biting her. And that's a difficult one because, of course, we have a real trying history here, especially in South Africa, and so that's extra complication that we as white Africans have to deal with, and we must embrace. And yeah, so it's a complicated question to answer, but essentially it feels like home. It is home. It's not like we could live anywhere else, really. Righty, well, this leopard is about to go to sleep, and I think Tristan would like to do the same.
Well, indeed, unfortunately, it's gotten to that time of the day where it's time for us to start heading home. The sun has dipped behind the horizon and it's starting to get quite dark, especially when you consider that there are lions in the area. Probably better that we start moving out and start heading home. So it's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we'll find these lions. Maybe you never know, on the way back we might bump into them somewhere, but I know Jamie will keep on looking for them. But that's all from us. We're going to, like I say, head back, and we'll see you all tomorrow morning for the sunrise safari. But let's head across to Brent in the Mara and see how he's doing and whether he's found anything more that's exciting.
And I've made I'm so tangled, I'm sorry guys, we're with Buffalo, but I don't know how I'm going to get out of this tangle I've created for myself with all these cables and whatnot. Okay, I've escaped my tangle. Okay, so we're just below the most stupendous spot in Africa, Angama Mara, and of course the Safari Live Camp. And we're with a big herd of buffalo that's been hanging around here for the last couple of days. And it is truly an absolutely magical day. Dave and I have had a blast. We've been out since before dawn, and we're about to head up the hill into camp for some fruit juice. And I just thought it'd be a nice thing because today is actually Africa Day, and you can't get much more African than the African bush, and you're getting to experience two of the most iconic spots in Africa simultaneously. Well, not simultaneously, but at the same time via Safari Live. And I thought it quite fitting that we are just below an area called Out of Africa, where the movie was filmed. So there we go. Isn't that just too special? But can you believe it? 2 cheetah hunts in a day! Unfortunately, not successful, but there's always tomorrow. And we will be out again in search of the wonders of the Mara. And as the sun dips below the Olololo escarpment, we're going to dip, or not dip, we're going to climb over and above it. And we will look forward to seeing you all tomorrow again for an exciting safari. But remember, it's not over yet. You can carry on with James and Jamie in the Sabi Sands for the next while. Hopefully they find lots of... Well, I know James is with leopards, and he's with my favourite female leopard. And hopefully Jamie finds some lions. So let's go across to the incredibly beautiful Inkanyeni.
Not entirely sure what Jamie Patterson would think about Brent calling this his favourite female, but I won't tell her if you don't. We're just moving slightly closer. There we go. Now, I'm going to tell you that when the light fades, even if she does get up, because she's skinny and we've had a wonderful sighting of her, I'm not going to follow her in the dark because I think that we will have an adverse effect on any hunt that she might have. So as it does get dark, we are going to leave her. I'm not going to put light on her. I mean, we could sit and watch her in infrared while she slept. That's no problem. We can do that. But if she does start to move, I'm not going to follow her from here. She is an aged leopard, and she's looking very hungry. But she's still been killing regularly, you know. I mean, we regularly hear reports of her on a kill with Futomi at various places. She was on a kill with Futomi in Nkoro the other day. And a couple of ticks on her head, I think. But she's very, very sleepy. Just back to that Africa topic, you know, it's so funny how, not funny, it's touching how so many people come out here and they have this feeling like they've come home. And, you know, the scientist in me says, well, that's just purely psychological. They've read it somewhere and they feel like they should. They've watched Out of Africa too often. When the other side of me, the slightly more human side of me, and it is a slight side, of course, says, well, that's because we're all from here originally. And so there's a little piece of Africa in every one of us. And that's what we feel the connection to when we touch down on African soil. Probably not so much when you get out at Oliver Tambo International Airport in Johannesburg, but certainly when you touch down, especially if you fly into the wild, you know, if you fly into the Mara out of Nairobi, I mean, Nairobi you can keep as you can keep Johannesburg, but if you fly out of those areas into a wilderness area and you leave the city behind and then land suddenly in these iconic wildlife, excuse me, oh dear, I think I inhaled a grass seed. Right, cool. You can see Inkanyeni is vaguely phased by this. But it's amazing how you get out of the plane, you walk down, you smell the air for the first time, you feel that first either wave of heat in the summer or a taste of dust in the wintertime, and you think, oh, that's something. That really is quite something. And, you know, down the road at Londolozi, which is about, 7 or 8 kilometers from where we are now as the crow flies, people pay unholy amounts of money to go back there again and again and again and again. Because, yes, obviously the guest experience there is fantastic, but there's just something about being in a place like that that makes people feel like they have to come back, like they cannot get enough of it. And I'm sure it's the same at many of these places. It just happens to be one of the ones I've worked at. Inkanyeni obviously feels very at home here. That's why she's going to sleep. It's fine. And I've watched Karula do exactly the same thing. I've watched her come into an area like this and sort of do her territorial marking in the last light of the sun, which is what Inkanyeni did, and then, just as you'd expect her to go hunting, lie down and go to sleep for 2 hours and not move. It really does amaze me. I mean, I would imagine this was ideal hunting condition, but perhaps she knows better. You know, she is the leopard, after all. I'm rather hoping a duiker in search of some moist grass will come wandering past here. Alrighty, I'm going to give this cat another 5 or 10 minutes to get up. If she doesn't, then we're going to press on and see what else we can find. And in the meantime, Jamie is hoping for much the same reaction from the bigger and very much in love cats that Tristan found this morning.
I am indeed hoping that the very much in love cats will get up and do something. Roar, mate, either of those things I will hear, and then we will be able to find them. James's toy about getting on a plane or arriving in Africa. I remember when I left, because I moved to the UK for 3 years, and I left the reserve, the very first reserve I ever worked in, and this man who was sitting next to me, didn't know him at all. This man who was sitting next to me was watching me, obviously, and he said to me in a very, very strong Afrikaans accent that I'm not going to imitate because it'll sound like I'm mocking him, and I'm not at all. He looked at me and he said, how big was the piece of your heart that you just left there? I will never forget that moment. Naturally, I then bawled all over him, and the poor man did not know what he'd got himself into, and he looked utterly terrified and then gave me a handkerchief. I offered to give it back to him afterwards, and he politely declined. It was very sweet. I remember that moment very strongly, and I remember the moment that the wheels of the plane touched back down when I moved back here. Right, lions, give us a roar. I don't quite know. I'm just doing circles around and around and around where we think they are. My one concern is that if it is Tinyo, I assume it is. Apparently that was who Tristan saw this morning. Tinyo. It was Tinyo. Tinyo. Mfumo roars as the sun goes down. Almost every time. Tinyo, on the other hand, if he's with Mfumo, he apps, or any of the other Birmingham boys, he roars with them. But he's not inclined towards early activity, let's put it that way. He is the equivalent of a teenager first thing in the morning. He's not so keen on the whole getting up and being wide awake thing. It takes him a little while. Right, let's see. We sit and watch these impala, and what on earth is that? Oh my goodness, I know what that was. Craig, get ready, and get ready to move fast. I think I just saw a honey badger. Okay. Please, 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 this side. Just ran through the grass. There it is. Got it. Look at that. Hey. How cool is that? Hey. Hi. Hi. You are such a pleasant surprise. It's gonna run, but let's try for one more view. Oh man, how epic is that? I'm glad to see my identification skills haven't gone completely out of the window. Okay, it's probably gonna have run off, but let's try. I don't want to get too close. Oh, you got it? Rusty, now's not the time. Ah, okay. We'll have to let it disappear. That's about as good a honey badger sighting as you're ever likely to get from the vehicle. Cool, man. See? How was that for a surprise? Totally unexpected. I love those creatures. Ah, I'm so chuffed. It's been so long since I've seen a honey badger. For our new viewers, that is not a common occurrence. I'm so happy. I haven't seen one in months. Ah, man, I'm happy. That's made my day. Even if we don't find those lions, James is having an equally good afternoon.
I am, everybody, and I've decided that we are going to leave this kitty. She's having a very, very, very hard snooze right now. Well, so she gets up now. But you can see the light is going. And I don't think there's a huge amount of point sitting with her. Sorry, she's not a 4-3 female, she's a 4-4 female. That's right, there's 4. and therefore on the other side. I remember now. Tandi's 3-3 and Inkanyeni is 4-4. With fluffy, tatty ears. Alex, a good question. You say, do leopards have any predators? Yes, they do, Alex. Inkanyeni's predators would be strange male leopards who might take some sort of dislike to her. Certainly that does happen from time to time, as Tingana will attest to. He ate a female leopard the other day. Largely it would be lions, though, and hyenas. So lions and hyenas would certainly kill her if they could. They may or may not eat her, but they would certainly kill her. So, strictly speaking, would anyone hunt her for food? Probably not. Would anything hunt her because of competition? Yes, definitely. Lions and leopards will absolutely have a go at her, as would wild dogs. I don't think wild dogs, if they caught a leopard like this, would eat her, though. And I've seen her and Vutomi chased up trees by 3 wild dogs. It just took 3 of them to treat 2 leopards. And, whether you could call that strictly predation or not, I don't know. Probably not. Alright, she is now fast asleep, and so we're going to let her be. We've had a wonderful, wonderful sighting of her. So let's press on and see what the evening holds. Goodbye, and thank you. Happy Africa Day. May it be filled with the demise of perhaps an antelope or something for you to eat. I'm astounded that those lions haven't pitched up. I wonder if they didn't move, or they must have moved off sometime during the day. Very unusual lion behaviour. And perhaps something to do with the fact that the female with Tristan this morning was a stranger. We don't know who she was. And maybe she's headed back towards wherever her pride is. Hello, George. What a fascinating question. You say, is there any animal out here that has an adaptation or ability that I would want? Many. Many. I would like to be I'd love to have the power to mass ratio of something like a baboon. They are very powerful climbers and obviously very strong for their size, as are leopards. I'd love to have the flexibility of a cheetah. I'd love my spine to be as flexible as a cheetah's. What else would I like? I would love to have the patience, I suppose, of an elephant. What else? Well, obviously I'd like to be able to fly. I'd love to be able to fly like a martial eagle. That would be wonderful. And I would like to be able to smell like a hyena and hear like a wild dog. I'd like to be able to taste like a human being. I don't want to taste like anything else. I don't mean, of course, being eaten. I mean the ability to taste. I would like to... I'm happy with the sort of general look of the human being. So I wouldn't like to be spotted or anything like that. Wouldn't mind being able to photosynthesize, for example. That'd be quite fun. And you wouldn't have to eat too much. It'd be quite nice to have maybe just a small green patch on my arm. And then if I wasn't near a restaurant that served delightful food, well, then it wouldn't matter. Oh dear. I'm afraid in the tumultuous rush to pick Jigger up today after we swapped on to Wendy and back again, I have managed to forget my spotlight. But that's okay. We've had such a good day that I don't suppose it's going to matter too much. We've got the other lights too, so if we do see something astounding, that will be alright. We've also got our infrared up, so I'm not going to worry. What other adaptations would I like? I think that's probably about it, really. There is a fiery neck nightjar. That was, of course, a wild guess. I don't know if you saw the nightjar, but I've often heard guides driving along the road go, "Oh, fiery neck nightjar." A nightjar is almost impossible to identify unless you hear it call, or unless you can catch it and look at the markings on its tail and on its wings. Neither of well, if it calls you can do it, but it's not very nice to catch them. Just check what's going on the radio. Right, no, nothing. So those are the adaptations I would like, but I'm really not sure what else there'd be. I would be fascinated to know what Jamie Patterson would like from an adaptation point of view, so perhaps you can ask her now.
I will answer that in a second. I just saw something move back there, but I think it was another impala. Yeah, I think it was an impala. I think these guys would be shouting if it was a lion. So, James has taken all the best ones, hasn't he? I mean, he's done sight, he's done smell, he's done flight. I'm struggling with it. Do we only get to choose one? I mean, I know James chose everyone, but what would I choose? I guess if I had to choose one heightened sense, I'd probably take hearing. I think it would be awesome to hear like some of the animals can hear. Hearing like a wild dog, I think James said. The ability to turn around in my own skin like a honey badger is also would be pretty useful. Although it might be a bit weird. Would definitely look a bit weird. Don't agree with the photosynthesizing at all. That's what eating is for. That's why eating is fun. I also agree with the strength to weight ratio of a leopard. Having spent my entire life wishing I was built with in a slightly more stocky manner, so that people would stop saying things like, "Are you sure you can hold that gun?" And then I'd snap quickly, "It's a rifle." And yes, I'm pretty sure I can. But strength to weight ratio I think would be epic. I still want a tail though. I know it's weird. Fergus agreed with me. He's the only person I've ever met that's ever agreed with me on that. I think having a tail would be awesome. Provided it was normal, and you were not the only person with a tail. Oh, Lou agrees with me as well. There we go. Prehensile monkey tail. Be epic. I'd like to be able to see in the dark as well, actually. Rusty, now's not the time not to go into reverse. Thank you. I'll pretend I didn't get as frustrated as I did there for a second. No, she always does that. She's horrible to get into reverse. Is that a log? Yeah, it must be. It doesn't look this way. I was so hoping it was a lion. Where's my... Oh, definitely a log, isn't it, Craig? Yeah. It is loggish. You're right. See? The ability to see in the dark. That is what I would like. Yeah. Joe Biceps, you and I share something in common. Our giant biceps. Joe Biceps, you want to know what time would we consider to be the best for animals being out? Now is the best time for animals to be out. Now, and that brief moment of sort of grey light before the dawn. The best thing is winter. That's why we see more things like honey badgers, in theory porcupines and aardvarks. Winter is a good time because the nocturnal creatures come out much earlier because it's cooler. So winter is a really good time, and this time of day, to see things. First thing, you cannot be a late riser. If you want to work in the bush, if you want to come on holiday to the bush and you want to see some awesome things, if you want to sleep in, you're in the wrong place. The best time is dawn and dusk. It's the changing of the guard, as Brent calls it. Maritza, that was a really nice way of wording it. You want to know if anyone can have the opportunity to do what we do. Yes, I would hope so. I don't think it's all that easy, especially for people that come from another country to try and come into Africa to get work visas. It requires a huge amount of dedication, and it's difficult. It's red tape, and it's not easy. I've got my very, very close friend who's still going through the whole process to try and stay in this country. So it is hard. I feel very fortunate to have had the opportunities I have, but in theory there's nothing to stop you. I mean, I'm not built like your traditional safari guide, but it doesn't matter. There's nothing about this job that needs serious strength. Provided you can change a tire, you're fine. Yes, I would say anyone could have the opportunity. You have to be willing to sacrifice, though. And you'll have to be willing to have people tell you that you're completely crazy, because they will. And it will become your entire life. You have to live it. It's not a job, it's a life. There are Nyala and Impala, and everything is perfectly happy here. Mariska, if you are really interested in it, you're welcome to send through a message, and I'd be more than happy to give you details as to exactly how you can go about it. It's not always the easiest path, but it's possible for everyone. Aww, William, who is 7 years old and from Oregon. William would like to know, so would we ever go to Oregon to see the animals there? William, I would love to go to Oregon. I would love to come and visit you. If I come to Oregon, William, can I come and stay with you? Will you show me the animals that you have there? Because I don't know anything about them, so you'd have to teach me all the different and show me all the different animals. So if one day, William, I'll be sure to contact your parents, and you'll have to show me which way to go. One day when I'm big, William. What's your favorite animal, William, in Oregon? What's your favorite animal that you see there? That's what I would like to know. Do you have a favorite animal? I love the fact that we've got kids watching. I'm so grateful to all of the parents out there who have shared the Safari Live experience with their kids. There's something very special about that. Thank you. Okay, lions, where are you? Okay, this is now the 5th circuit I have done here. Tino hasn't made a sound. The lioness is not going to roar unless he does, because she is not from around here, apparently. Tristan says she's definitely not a Styx, and Lex has got all of the Nkahumas on Buffelshoek hook. I just need to actually speak to Lex. Lex for Jamie. Lex, will you keep us updated if those animals start moving south? Copy that, thank you. Now, Captain somebody. Sorry, I was talking to Lex at the time your name came through. Captain Parker. Right, Captain Parker would like to say that, or said, that the predators seem unfazed by the vehicles. Why are they not afraid? They would be if they'd never seen a safari vehicle before, and we do occasionally get the odd skittish animal that comes through. So it does happen. But But because these animals have grown up with safari vehicles, they don't associate us with a threat. We're not food, we're not a threat, we just are. And we don't bother them, and through years of ethical guiding, or as close to ethical guiding as we possibly can get, they've become very, very relaxed around the safari vehicles. And we're very lucky for that, and it's actually quite important. We underestimate how important it was, or is. If every animal here ran away from the safari vehicles, tourists would not come here, and the lodges would not flourish, and the money would not come in. Bushbaby! Bushbabies! ×2! Aw, little bushbabies. Where's Beckles? Beckles is in Kenya. Rebecca loves bushbabies. Can you see it there, Craig? No, maybe not. Try a little bit lower, below that sticky out branch. The one that's in front of it, there-ish. There-ish, up a little bit. There, center now. There you go, you got it. Hello. It's a little bush baby. There we go. A little bit. Oh, William, I really look forward to having elephant pancakes one day with you. William's favorite animal, or one of his favorite animals, he really, really likes bumblebees. Thank you, William. I love pancakes, and I think elephant pancakes would probably be the best ever. I've never had an elephant pancake before. Thank you very much, William. That's very kind of you. These bush babies, there's 2 of them, and they're jumping all over the show. There's one, Craig. It's going to be a lot more visible. It is, yes, where those go, zoom in a little bit. There. Well done. What you got? You eating something? You can see his little mouth moving. This is a lesser galago, or bush baby, and it is absolutely minute, and one of the cutest creatures that we get out here. Look at you go. A nocturnal primate that eats insects and tree sap, related to the lorises. It's there, just behind those dead leaves there. Well, there's 2 actually, but the one closest is the one behind the dead leaves. There it is, you can just see it moving. And not a peep from the lions. Oh well. Bush babies and honey badgers will definitely do. Okay. I think that's it for our bush baby sighting. I'll just give it 2 more seconds and then we'll call it. Yeah. Oh, they're moving further back. Yeah, okay. Done. Lady Starfire, I'm nodding because there's lots of places in Africa that I would love to go and that I haven't been to yet. I don't know why, and I'm not quite sure what it is exactly. If I had to choose, if somebody said to me, I'm going to pay for you to go somewhere, now, go, off you go. I mean, that is happening to me basically. I'm going to Kenya in a few weeks. No, a few days. I would go to Ethiopia. I really would love to see, I think it stems from a childhood book that I read when I was young about the red wolf of Ethiopia, the most endangered canid in Africa. Hello, scrub horsey, little scrub hair. and I would really love to go and visit the historical Nile sites. It's got, I don't know why, I find that something fascinating in the history and the culture and the, all through that section of Ethiopia where there's just these ancient civilizations. So I guess I'd really like to go to Ethiopia if I had to choose, but that's a really difficult choice. I'm tired of this loop now. We're done. These lions are not moving. I can't drive this loop one more time. I've done it 4 times now. I mean, once gave us the honey badger, so I'm not complaining. Craig, where would you go in Africa?
If I could go anywhere?
If you could go anywhere in Africa?
To live or
Just to visit.
I'm not pretty sure, man. Maybe Ghana, maybe?
Okay. Craig says Ghana or around that area. I'm going to let him think about it some more. James is on his way back from Cheetah Plains, I'm sure with a big smile on his face.
My big smile, everybody. I am returned from Cheetah Plains to Juma. You can see I'm in high spirits in comparison with this morning after we'd lost all signal and found 2 hippopotamus, where my spirits were, well, somewhere in my big toes at the time. Right, places to go in Africa. Where would I like to go in Africa? Well, yes, Ethiopia, definitely. Absolutely, I'd love to go there. I'd quite like to go to the Atlas Mountains for some reason. I'd quite like to go up there and see what that's all about. And I've always had a yen to go on a long sort of, I don't know, a 10-day horse trek through the Sahara Desert. I've always felt that might be quite fun. So those are 3 things that I'd quite like to do in Africa. Seb? I will translate.
I would love to go to Rwanda and to the gorillas.
Rwanda and gorillas, yes.
Okay, number 2 would be like through the desert, but in Mauritania.
In Mauritania.
I've heard there's a lot of beautiful treks there.
Okay. In Mauritania. Okay.
So yeah, that would be my closest.
Mauritania and Rwanda. I would, yes, I suppose I would like to go to both of those places as well. Although it's not easy travel, is it? I mean, I imagine getting into and out of Mauritania is probably not very easy. Not regular flights. Is Mauritania French speaking?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
Or francophone. Oh. Oh boy, you're asking a question now. You say, why did humans evolve in Africa and nowhere else? Well, boy, it's because I guess this is where the ancestors of all humans, of all hominins lived. We came from a common ancestor to the chimpanzee about 5 million years ago. Our lineage split from theirs. And there were various members of that lineage that went to very different parts of the world, and it just so happened that, you know, the specific random genetic mutations that occurred in our lineage were suited to the African environment. Now, there's no real reason why it shouldn't have happened somewhere else. Why it shouldn't have happened in Asia, in Southeast Asia, or in South America, or in Australia, but it didn't. And it's a really interesting question you ask, because I mean we know the evolutionary story plus minus of humanity, But why it didn't occur anywhere else is an interesting one, because of course we know that many species have adapted or have evolved, co-evolved in different parts of the world, unrelated, but they've evolved to fill the same ecological niches, and they've evolved the same adaptations. And the best example that I can think of right now, of course, is the hummingbird and the sunbird, both of which are bird species we get here. At least one of which we get here. Both of them have long beaks, and they are nectar feeders from flowers, but they're not related to each other. And so that's an example of what we call or convergent evolution. I can never remember which one it is. So why it is that human beings did not adapt, or that did not evolve, or something equivalent to a human being didn't evolve in other parts of the world, difficult to say, other than the fact that, of course, the common ancestor from us and the great apes 5 million years ago didn't occur anywhere else. Why did it not occur anywhere else? Well, I guess the niche, perhaps, here's an explanation for you. I guess the niche that it occupied in the forests of wherever they were around Africa were occupied in other parts of the world by other primates, and so there wasn't any pressure or any space for the evolution of different species. So that's a basic answer for why I think that they evolved in Africa and nowhere else in the world. And then, of course, there is quite a lot of debate over a number of ancient humans, Homo floresiensis from the island of Flores near Indonesia, or in the Indonesian archipelago. There was a human being that did evolve there, but of course its ancestor was an African. Its ancestor, if I'm not mistaken, was Homo erectus or habilis, and it evolved from that on the isolated island of Flores in the Indonesian archipelago. And so that's quite interesting. But all of the ancestors, came from Africa, and various species radiated out from here. Homo erectus went all over much of the world. Certainly went into the Far East. Homo habilis did quite the same, I think, maybe not quite as far. Obviously, Homo neanderthalis, with the Neanderthal man, famous, went up into Europe and spent a lot of time there, and was wiped out by us when we arrived. And so all the ancestors did come from Africa, and they evolved here, I guess, just because the ecological niche was available to the adaptations that occurred. I hope that answers your question. Let's head across to Jamie, who's sitting roughly, I'd say about 75 meters from where I am.
I am indeed. I can even hear James's voice from where I'm sitting. Unfortunately, 2 seconds ago there was a hyena in there. Obviously, as you can see, there is no longer a hyena sticking its head out. The cubs ducked back beneath into its tunnel, and I think it's digging. I can see this sort of fine dust floating out. Is it steam? It could be steam. It's probably very warm in there. Probably very warm and humid. Okay. I don't actually want to stay here because Ribbon's not here. I don't want that cub to feel brave and bold and come out, because I don't know where those lions are. But our search wasn't far from where we're sitting at the moment. If Ribbon was here and in infrared, I wouldn't feel bad at all, because we're not shining any spotlights on them. We're just sitting and enjoying the view in infrared. But with the lions here and without Ribbon, I don't want the cubs to, I just don't want them to come out and be too brave. It's a balancing act though, because the quickest way to habituate that older cub is actually in the dark. They're going to feel, it is going to feel far more comfortable with us at night than it does during the day. It's exactly the same thing with skittish leopards. They just know that they own the night, basically. They know that they are much more at home when it's dark, and they know they can see very well. But it's not out, and I think it's best with the lions on the prowl that we move. I can't, Rusty's key won't turn. There's a certain inevitability to that. Really. Rusty, we've had words about this trick before. Ah! brute force. Brute force is always the way. Wouldn't, of course, have worked with Wendy. Let's find out how James feels about that.
I feel nothing but negativity towards our vehicles right now. I feel zero positivity to them whatsoever. And if Rusty had broken down there, well, I don't know. It would have been very hard for me to try and go and rescue her. I'd have gone to fetch Jamie, and I'd have gone to fetch who's on camera with her? It was Craig. I'd have gone to fetch them, no problem. But the car could have stayed there for the rest of its days, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if you heard the trials of Wendy today, but we got onto her after Opa fixed the clutch, and we set her up, and Anwar worked tirelessly to put the radio back on and the monitor back in, and turn the key. No, nothing. Just a churning over of the engine. And so the repeat process happened in vastly fast reverse. And that's why I'm afraid I stupidly forgot my spotlight, for which I apologize profusely. Hello Stacy, you say there any foods we miss being out here in the bush? Well, you know, a diet of grass seeds, the odd piece of rotting impala carcass that we find, and one or two seeds and pods from the acacia trees can get a bit tiresome, but you get used to it after a while. Stacy, we eat very, very well here. There's a town not far from here, and there's a large supermarket there that brings in a delivery of just about anything we want every week. So no, there are no foods I miss. I suggest that you ask Brent the same thing the next time you see him, because the camp there is much, much further away from any sort of town than we are here, and the town that there is really is not known for its sort of what should we say, more sophisticated first world cuisine. And so while they're setting it up, I mean, some of the pictures of the meals they've been eating have been quite horrendous, and apparently they've survived largely on a diet of cabbage. So I do think that you should ask Brent about that. I've no doubt he will tell you a hilarious story about living on a diet of cabbage and offal. I don't think it's quite that bad, but certainly when they first went up there, it wasn't easy. We were hoping to infrared a few animals around here, but alas, that possibility has eluded us. Well, there's some impala, but we've only got 30 seconds left, so rather than blind them, I think I'm just going to bid you a fond good evening. Thank you for coming on Drive with us. I don't suppose it was too much of a trial. It wasn't too much of a trial for us. We had amazing action. It was really a spectacular drive. Thank you, Sebastian, for your efforts today. And a big thank you to Luis in the final control, and of course Chantel. We will see you tomorrow at 06:30. Until then, bye-bye.